Hello and good evening to the residents of Ward 5 and my fellow Brocktonians. My name is Jeffrey Thompson, and I'm your Ward 5 City Councilor. And welcome to the Ward 5 cast. So I'm going to do something a little different tonight. Instead of holding a live ward meeting, I'm going to do it via podcast. That doesn't mean I won't hold in live ward meetings in the future. But at this time, I wanted to try something different. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find it informative. And please send me your feedback and what you think of this medium. Additionally, the chat function is open. And so during the podcast, please send in your questions, and I look forward to answering them. But before we begin the podcast, I would first like to thank the residents of Ward 5 for re-electing me as your ward councilor. It has been an honor to serve the residents of Ward 5 over the past 2 years. And I appreciate your continued confidence in me, and I look forward to continue serving you over the next 2 years. This is my contact information. I try to return all calls within 24 hours, and email is a great way to communicate as well. Again, I try to respond within 24 hours. I also recommend you like my Facebook page. I put out a lot of information on that page. At the end of this podcast, I will return to this slide so you can write down this information. So these are the topics I'd like to discuss tonight, including Trout, Brook and its acceptance as an urban renewal district, some of the developments that are going on downtown, also the Christo's lot, and my proposal for a zoning overlay district. I'd also like to discuss our water infrastructure plan and what's happening on Thomas Street, Thomas Circle, and phase 1 and 2 of the infrastructure plan. I also want to discuss the National Grid infrastructure plan. The east side of Brockton has experienced an unusual amount of outages. So I'd like to discuss what I've learned about that issue. Additionally, I want to talk about some of the business developments that are happening on the east side, including what's going on at Lambert's Plaza, the Brazil Grill, Sunrise Restaurant, which will be an exciting restaurant on the east side, and Shirley's Kitchen off of Court Street. Some additional topics to be discussed are the ordinances that I've been working on, including Brockton's first residential noise ordinance, street repaving, streets that have been repaved, and the streets I'd be looking to repave in the future. Neighborhood watches. I believe a neighborhood watch is a vital function of any community. So I'd like to discuss the establishment of additional neighborhood watches. I'd like to talk about the Salisbury Park cleanup efforts and the community which came together to clean Salisbury Park. And I'd like to talk about the zoning board. The mayor of Brockton is looking for additional members of the zoning board. And so I'd like to provide that information to all of you who are interested. But before I speak on these topics, I wanted to briefly speak about the Brockton school system. In 2016, the state changed the way our schools were funded. This change caused Brockton to lose millions of dollars a year in our Chapter 70 funds. This loss of money devastated our school system. And from fiscal year 2016 to 2019, Brockton laid off a net 165 teachers and 34 paraprofessionals who were instrumental in helping students who were falling behind close that gap. These loss of funds was unacceptable. And through the efforts of our state delegation, the Brockton City Council, and Brockton School Committee, we lobbied our state legislature and Governor Baker to return these funds. And in 2019, Governor Charlie Baker signed into law the Student Opportunity Act, providing additional funding to chronically underfunded school districts like Brockton. In fiscal year 2020 and 2021, the net education funding increase for Brockton is approximately $20 million. This was a game changer. In fiscal year 2020, Brockton Public Schools rehired 207 teachers, plus additional adjustment counselors and other paraprofessionals. We hired back the 34 paraprofessionals we lost, and we have 30 open positions. So if you are qualified, please apply to the Brockton Public School System. I'd also like to talk about Brockton High School's addition and renovation plan. On May 25th of this year, the City Council voted to approve the request to the school committee to submit a statement of interest to the Massachusetts School Building Authority's school renovation program. The estimated cost of renovation is approximately $400 million. At that cost, we would completely renovate Brockton High and also potentially be able to build an additional building which would house Brockton High's STEM program. Now, the city of Brockton would be responsible for about 20% of this cost, or $80 million. And it is estimated it would take 3 to 6 years to complete the renovation. In 2020, the MSBA denied our initial statement of interest request, but they did encourage the city of Brockton to reapply as a priority one applicant, which we did back in May. If this year our statement of interest is accepted, we could expect a groundbreaking would occur in the spring of 2024. After speaking with the school committee, no response has yet been received by the MSBA, but we do expect a response in the November-December timeframe. Okay, let's talk about Trout Brook and its acceptance as an urban renewal district. An urban renewal district is an area within a community that has been found to be substandard, decadent, or a blighted open area, and that these conditions constitute an economic and social liability, and it substantially impairs or arrests the sound growth of cities. And that is exactly what Trout Brook is. It's approximately 36 acres of undeveloped land, mostly owned by the railroad company CSX. Now, it is our desire to create a campus-like commercial area with recreational amenities in the Trout Brook property. Additionally, we'd be implementing a new type of use, a flex commercial space. And what flex commercial is, it's a use which allows for the easy transition of units from retail to office to light industrial. And our goal is to create up to 220,000 square feet of office space, high tech and light industrial space, which we hope will attract both new and expanding businesses to Brockton and create hundreds of new high-tech, high-wage jobs for the residents of Brockton. Aesthetically, what we're trying to do with Trout Brook is create a river walk, which runs from Puffer Park in the north down to Snow Park in the south. This river walk would also act as a divider between the more residential use in the east and the more commercial use in the west. This Riverwalk will also act as a stormwater management system, which would prevent flooding in the area. And this is what that would look like. As you can see, we have Puffer Playground in the north. The Riverwalk would extend to the south down to Snow Park. What we're trying to do is fill out the neighborhoods in the east along North Manchester, Tabor, Williams, and Parker Street to add additional single-family houses that would extend both to North Carey Street and Elliott Street. The Riverwalk would be surrounded by green space. It would be used as a natural walking path for the community. It would also, as I said, act as a stormwater management system. As you can see on the western side, we have the buildings that would hold the commercial flex use. And then down along Court Street, we would be looking to add residential uses, multifamily residential along Court Street, which is in close proximity to the BAT bus station and the Brockton T-stop. The benefit of this area being accepted as an urban renewal district is that it will add economic incentives for development of this land. Those incentives are at the federal, state, and local level, and also open up this area for multiple grants that would allow for development. The development of the Trout Brook property is one of the most significant development opportunities for the city of Brockton over the past 100 years. And we must do it right. We believe this is a good plan, and we're in the process of marketing this plan for the developers so that they will build what Brockton intends to put there. This slide is a picture of examples of multi-use paths. So this would be, some of the ideas we would have regarding the Riverwalk along Trout Brook. I truly believe it's going to be a beautiful area. And when it is finally built out, I would encourage everybody to visit and enjoy the beautiful brook that we have in Brockton. Now I'd like to talk about the development happening downtown. So the first building I'd like to talk about is 93 Center Street. This is the redevelopment of the old Brockton Furniture Building. It will be developed into 55 modern rental units, 44 market rate units, and 11 workforce housing units. Now, workforce housing is housing in which you would be eligible if you earned approximately 80% of Brockton's AMI. Now, AMI is the area medium income. And for Brockton, for a four-person household, that's approximately $95,200. At the bottom, there'll be a small commercial space on that ground floor. It's about 1,500 square feet. And the estimated completion date is spring of 2023. Driving by there recently, I can see that there are workers already in there that are working on the fire system, the electrical wiring, and doing some demolition. Another really exciting downtown development is 46 Montello Street, which is the redevelopment of the old D'Angelo's into 64 modern luxury apartments. Now, these will be fully market rate units with modern amenities. And this is currently being developed by Joffrey Anatoli, who developed the modern standard building and 47 West Elm Street building. So I know it's going to be beautiful, and I look forward to the completion of this important project downtown. This here is a slide of 93 Center Street. And as I stated, it is currently being worked on. I know Ted Carmen received a lot of historic tax credits to redevelop this building. So that means that the trim on top and the shape of the windows and the little balconies all have to be maintained. And so I've looked at some plans, and I know Ted Carmen and his crew are going to do a beautiful job. So this building will maintain its historic look, and a lot of that aluminum trim up top will be renovated, and it will be a beautiful building. And I'm looking forward to what it looks like when it's complete. Now here is a rendering of I believe this is 46 North Montello Street. It is currently going to be called Tracks because it is right behind the railroad tracks. This is going to be a beautiful building. Joffrey Anatoli does great work. There will be a 2-level parking garage You can see on the left, you would enter through there and then rise up to another level. And this will be right there on that old D'Angelo's lot. Just the tall ceilings, modern amenities. This is a fully market rate development, and it's going to be beautiful. And I'm looking forward to the completion of this project as well. Moving on to some additional downtown development, we're currently looking at 226 Main Street, which is the redevelopment of the old Ganley department store. And it will be the new state unemployment office. There will be a call center and job placement programs in this building. And it's expected that Massasoit Community College will have some classroom space in this building as well. It is estimated to be completed in early 2022. And I'm looking forward to this project as well. Behind the Ganley building, we expect to have some green space where Prava is now located. That area will become a permanent green space with room for a stage for entertainment. There'll be permanent bathroom facilities. There will also be a wet bar, which will enable restaurant hookups, and well, not restaurants, but food trucks or trailers for food service in that area during certain events. So we really have a big plan for that area where Prava is now located, and it'll just be another green space in Brockton where the community can meet and enjoy each other's company and engage in civic activities and have some really good food. So I'm looking forward to that as well. The Trinity Phase 2, which is on Montello Street across from 50 Center Street, that is currently being constructed now. And it's going to be a beautiful building. It will be 111 units. And the estimated completion is fall of 2022. So here is 226 Main. As you can see, they're putting on the brick facade as of the airing of this podcast. I expect that brick facade to be completed. Now it's going to keep a lot of its feel from the old Ganley building, the brick facade, the large windows. And I believe there will be some type of, interesting trim at the top of this building. So again, this is to be completed in early 2022. Now here's an aerial shot of Trinity's Phase 2 project. This shot was taken from the top of the Mayor Bill Carpenter parking garage. That structure right in front is the elevator shaft. And you can see kind of the basic layout of this building. And again, this is a 111 unit that will have a mixture of market rate units. I believe we're looking at 50% market rate, a certain percentage of workforce housing, and then a smaller percentage of 60 and 30% of AMI rental units. Also downtown, we're looking at 28 Petronelli Way. This is the redevelopment of the old Petronelli gym, and this will be made into 18 market rate units. I had the opportunity to tour this building with the developer and the mayor. It's going to be beautiful. This was an old theater, and what they're going to be doing on that 3rd to 4th floor, where on that 4th floor you look down into the theater. What they're going to do to maintain that that old late 18th century look and feel is going to be beautiful, and I'm looking forward to what Mr. Carmen does with this building. Again, this is the Petronelli gym where Marvelous Marvin Hagler trained. And so there is an expected tribute in the lobby to Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And the estimated completion date of this building would be spring of 2023. Also, 157 Center Street. And this is the redevelopment of an old shoe factory. So here is 28 Petronelli Way. And it's a beautiful building. Again, it has a lot of historic tax credits for financing. So these balconies that are out front will be renovated. Additionally, the trim along the top will be refurbished, and the windows will be replaced, and the architecture of the arches and everything will be maintained. So this will have a 18th century feel with modern 21st century amenities and appliances inside. So this is going to be another beautiful building, all market rate. And again, I'm looking forward to the development of this building. So this right here is 157 Center Street. It's right behind the SoCo Lofts and across from the Bat Bus parking garage. This is another beautiful building. I had the opportunity to walk this with the developer. It's going to have high ceilings, big windows. It's going to maintain this brick facade. I know the developer said he's going to try to do something special out front of this building to make it really pop. I know he is in the process of replacing the windows of this building. I don't remember how many units this is. It's all market rate, and it will be another beautiful residential building downtown. And, putting another building back on the tax rolls and having a beautiful place and opportunity for the residents of Brockton to live. This next topic is one of extreme importance to the city of Brockton and to Ward 5, and that is the Christo's property. It is my belief that outside of our downtown development, there is no more important development project in our city than the Christo's property. The Christo's property consists of the Christo's restaurant, the Massasoit Convention Center, and the old movie theater behind the convention center up to Beaumont Ave. This is approximately 6.8 acres of land. It is currently zoned C2, which is general retail and general office space. Now, multiple use studies were conducted on this property. One conducted by the Metro South Chamber of Commerce in conjunction with the UMass Donahue Institute, and another study conducted by the Urban Land Institute. These use studies looked at the current zoning of the property, the location of the property, the infrastructure, and the needs of the city. The use studies determined that there is little demand for C2 use on this property. General retail has taken a hit throughout the country, and retailers found it more cost-effective to relocate an existing retail space. Additionally, this property is too far from the highway for there to be general office space demand. So the alternative was residential development. In September of 2020, I presented 5 different residential scenarios, the most likely being a high-density residential development, high density being anywhere from 150 to 200 units. After the presentation, I listened to the feedback of my constituents, and I determined that there is little appetite for a high-density residential development on this property. All the studies agreed that the best, highest value for Brockton is to keep this area a commercial zone. This is prime commercial real estate, right along Route 27 and the gateway to the east side of Brockton. So I went back to the drawing board, and I worked with the mayor's office and the city planner to develop a new commercial zone that I believe would be a good fit on this property. In September, I filed an ordinance to amend and modernize our current C5 zone. Brockton's current C5 zone is professional office space. This is dentists, doctors, lawyers, accountants, professional offices like that. Brockton has over a dozen C5 zones, and what we're finding is that these zones are not conducive to modern development. This new C5 will have additional uses, including research and development space, like biotech, medical equipment, electronics, Will also include technology, office, and production space. We have also included senior residential with assisted living space. This new zone will also include business incubator space, which will allow Brockton entrepreneurs to develop their own homegrown business. The second ordinance I filed was to rezone the Christo's property as this new modernized C5 zone. It is my sincere belief that rezoning the Christo's property as this new modified C5 is in the best interest of our city. The city council has often said that the city needs to be more business friendly. What could be more business friendly than creating a new modern commercial zone? The water infrastructure plan. Water infrastructure is one of the main reasons I ran for city council. I believe if Brockton wants to be a 21st century city, we need 21st century infrastructure. A good portion of the water infrastructure in Ward 5 was laid in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. To address this issue, I sponsored an order in the city council authorizing the city to borrow $19.1 million to complete multiple phases of water main replacement. This borrowing is to be paid for by the newly implemented water and sewer fees. Phase 1 will consist of the replacement of approximately 3,800 feet of 6-inch water main on North Montello and North Main Street. This water main was laid in 1890, and it will be replaced with brand new 24-inch water main. This section of water main was determined to be the greatest need in Brockton. It will increase water flow, reduce water stagnation, and improve the water quality and pressure in this area. Additionally, I worked with the mayor's office and the DPW commissioner for a full water main replacement on Thomas Street and Thomas Circle. This project was a $1 million project and was completed last month. The process of repaving Thomas Street and Thomas Circle has begun this week and is expected to be complete in the next 2 weeks. Here is a picture of the crew replacing the water main on Thomas Street. This is a picture of the new water main. It has a cement lining which protects the pipe from the chemicals in the water breaking down the pipe. Phase 2 of the water infrastructure plan will consist of the replacement of 1,000 feet of 6-inch water main on Ellen Road to Ruth Road. This water main was laid in 1957 and it will be replaced with an 8-inch water main. Also on East Ashland Street from North Quincy Street to Oberlin Road, approximately 2,800 feet of 12-inch water main that was laid in 1973 will be replaced. The improvement of our water infrastructure is vitally important to the residents of Ward 5, and I will continue to focus on this issue over the next 2 years. As we saw in last week's nor'easter, the status of our electric infrastructure is also important. In September, I co-sponsored a resolve requesting a representative from National Grid come before the City Council to discuss National Grid's infrastructure plan in Ward 5. This representative identified the power substation on Hudson Street as needing repair and upgrades. This is a $5 million project. It's currently in its design phase, and its estimated time of completion is early 2023. National Grid also identified 30 sections of frayed wire on North Quincy Street that need replacement. Frayed wire increases the chances of outages due to tree and animal interactions. This project began this fall. Lastly, National Grid has identified 130 poles from Montello Street down Center Street to the Abington line that need replacement. I'd like to quickly discuss some of the new and exciting business developments happening on the east side. The Lambert's Plaza on Crescent Street will be adding a dentist office and a tattoo parlor owned by 2 classically trained Brockton artists. Family Dollar has moved from the East Side Plaza to the larger Rite Aid on Center Street. Also, Brazil Grill is moving from the East Side Plaza to Dillon's on Center Street. And Dunkin' Donuts is moving from the small plaza next to Downey School to the old Burger King next door. And this property has been abandoned for over 10 years. An exciting development in Ward 5 is the opening of a new fine dining steakhouse in the Grossmont Bargain Outlet Plaza. Additionally, another restaurant, the Boiling Catch, a Cajun seafood restaurant, opened at the old Papagino's on Crescent Street last year. At 720 Center Street, the old Apothecary building, a newly renovated 3-unit professional office has opened. And on Court Street, in the old Court Street Market, has opened Shirley's Kitchen, a small Haitian food eatery. And lastly, at the intersection of Quincy Street and Center Street, the recreational marijuana dispensary Botera has opened. I appreciate these businesses and all business development on the East Side, and I wish you all much success. I would like to now discuss some of the ordinances and orders that I've been working on over the past 2 years, including Brockton's first residential noise ordinance. This ordinance was passed earlier this year, and it was in response to the epidemic of loud late-night parties. This ordinance has multiple components. The first being restricted hours. From Sunday to Thursday, those hours are 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And on Friday and Saturday, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. It also has prohibited noise during these restricted hours, and that's any noise above 60 decibels. This prohibited noise had to be taken by a properly calibrated sound level meter 50 feet from the property line of the source of the noise. I believed it was important for this ordinance to have an objective standard, like a speeding ticket, and the first offense is a warning. The second offense and any subsequent offense is the maximum $300 fine. Also, over the last 2 years, I sponsored Brockton's first permanent outdoor dining ordinance. I filed an order to amend our zoning ordinance to allow restaurants without a drive-through by right in our commercial zones. What this does is it makes it easier to open a restaurant in Brockton, and it saves an owner thousands of dollars by not having to go before the zoning board seeking a special permit. As previously stated, I drafted the ordinance for the new modernized C5 zone. I also sponsored the order to accept a grant to establish 3 parklets in our downtown area. Parklets are outdoor spaces that extend into the parking space to provide room for outdoor dining or outdoor entertainment. I also had the privilege to honor 2 great Brocktonians. The first was to name a street downtown, Marvelous Marvin Hagler Drive, the boxing icon, and also to honorarily rename North Manchester Street to Ruth E. Silva Way. Ruth Silva fostered over 300 young men on North Manchester Street. She provided these young men a safe harbor in an otherwise stormy world. And here is a picture of me and Ruth along with one of those young men on that really fun day. And another important issue to the residents of Ward 5 is street repaving. Over the last 2 years, I worked with the DPW to fully repave 3 streets, Short Street, Quincy Ave, and Addison Ave. One of the impediments to having a street repaved is whether it is a public way or a private way. Over the last 2 years, I've worked with the engineering department to accept multiple streets as public ways. That is Gloucester Street, Sheridan Street, which will be coming before the city council this month. The next 2 streets are Bud Ave and Ida Ave. Once they're accepted as public ways, they will be eligible for repaving. It is my intent to work with DPW over the next 2 years to fully repave as many streets in Ward 5 as possible, and I'll keep you posted. An association, which I believe is extremely important, especially after last week's nor'easter, is the establishment of neighborhood watches. A neighborhood watch provides an opportunity for neighbors to come together, to meet one another, and discuss issues of importance in their neighborhood. The watch would be led by a neighborhood captain, and all meetings would be attended by myself and the Brockton Police Liaison Officer, who can discuss strategies to better improve the safety and security of the neighborhood. Over the last 2 years, I had the privilege of helping to establish 2 new neighborhood watches in Ward 5. And if you're interested in serving as a neighborhood captain, please contact me by email. And lastly, I'd like to talk about the Salisbury Park cleanup efforts. Over the last year, I've helped coordinate multiple cleanup efforts at Salisbury Park. The community volunteers have removed over 150 trash bags worth of garbage from the Trout Brook waterway, and I appreciate their efforts. And here are some of the guys that came out to help with the cleanup efforts, and I'd like to recognize them. Brandon Scales, Patrick Quinn, myself, Tommy Williams, Bill Hogan, Mike Smith. Thank you, gentlemen. And I look forward to working with you in the future for more cleanup efforts. So that concludes tonight's Ward 5 cast. I hope you found it informative, and I look forward to answering your questions. Hello, everyone. That was really fun. I hope you found it informative. And if you are not watching this live and you've watched it on YouTube or at a later time, you can always email me questions. You can email those to jthompson@cobma.us. I'm also always available via my phone number at 508-897-6885, or you can reach out to me on Facebook. And I also recommend that you like my Facebook page. I try to put a lot of information out via Facebook so that everybody can be informed of what's happening in Ward 5. So questions. I received one question from Mike, and Mike was talking about the pedestrian intersection at the Shaw's McDonald's intersection. He was asking for better pedestrian access at that intersection. And that's a great question, Mike. So when it comes to these types of issues, they're usually put before the Traffic Commission. The Traffic Commission meets every month, and we discuss these types of issues. The chair of the Traffic Commission is Councilor Jack Lally. And so if there are any issues regarding intersections or stop signs, speeding signs, anything like that regarding traffic, Traffic Commission has jurisdiction. So if there are any issues, I ask that you please email me. I can put it on the Traffic Commission's agenda. That matter will be heard before the commission, and it's usually referred out to a subcommittee. That subcommittee would go to the scene. They would evaluate the need for the suggested traffic issue, whether it's a speeding sign, whether it's a stop sign. Some stop signs aren't well seen. We are putting reflective lighting on it, things of those nature. And so this professional crew will go to the scene, determine whether there's a need for some mitigation efforts. And if so, then they would vote at the next commission meeting on that issue. And if it's accepted, then the intended recommendation would be implemented. So that's an issue that I can put before the Traffic Commission to see if there's a better way to make it safe for pedestrians crossing at that very busy intersection. I also got a question from Ellie, and this is regarding a youth center in Brockton. And Ellie, I agree. I think Brockton probably needs additional centers for youth to attend. So there's a few things on that matter. There is some intention by the Brockton Boys and Girls Club, currently on Warren Ave, to expand that center. That expansion, if the RFP is accepted, will go on to the Keith Field. So that would be another center in which youth could attend athletic events or other needs for youth activities. There is currently some discussion of acquiring the Massasoit Convention Center for a youth center or a community center. Honestly, Ellie, I'm not a proponent of that idea. I believe the Massasoit the Christo's property is prime commercial real estate. I think it needs to stay on the tax rolls. and provide commercial revenue to the city, and also be a space in which business could grow. People could get jobs out of that area. I just think that that convention center is best used as a commercial use and not as a community center. But I do understand the need for additional community centers. I believe the old Gilmore School is currently being developed as a community center out of the school department. So I think we should take a look at what's happening there and see if there are others required throughout the city. I'm looking around. I don't see any additional questions, but I really enjoyed tonight's podcast. I appreciate the opportunity to put this information out there. As I stated at the beginning, I wanted to try something new. I wanted you to be able to enjoy this podcast in the comfort of your home and at your convenience. I will be holding additional podcasts in the future, but I will also be holding in-person ward meetings in the future as well. So, I look forward to those. Lastly, we have the election on Tuesday, as I stated at the beginning of this podcast. Thank you. Thank you, residents of Ward 5. It is an honor serving you. I look forward to the next 2 years. I look forward to speaking with my constituents so that we can, really make Brockton a better community for all of us. And thank you for your confidence in me. Have a good night. And again, if anybody needs to contact me, you have my contact information that is now currently on the screen. Please reach out. Thank you. Have a good night.